Welcome and thank you so much for joining me again today. It's a joy to study God's Word together. I wonder if you've ever felt a burden that you just couldn't ignore. Maybe something like the pull to call a hurting friend or to show up for someone who is in need. Maybe even to speak a hard word of truth. In the verses before us today, Paul describes that kind of burden as a holy obligation and eagerness to share the gospel. And this is what Romans chapter 1 verses 14 and 15 says. I am under obligation both to Greek and to barbarians, both to the wise and to the foolish. So I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. Now notice two burdens on Paul's heart. First, Paul felt obligated. He says, I'm under obligation. This isn't a burden of guilt. It comes from grace. Having received the gospel, Paul owes that gospel to others. He's like a man who's been entrusted with the treasure, who now must deliver it. And those to whom he's obligated is universal. He says to Greeks and to barbarians, to both wise and to the foolish. In other words, everyone, no matter class, culture, background, everyone needs Christ. Second, Paul felt eager. He says, so I'm eager to preach the gospel. Obligation didn't crush him. It motivated him. Paul wasn't reluctant. He was ready. The gospel was such good news, he couldn't wait to share it, even with the believers in Rome who already knew Jesus, but just needed a deeper sense of their roots in the gospel. These verses give us a heart check. Do we feel the obligation? If Christ has rescued me, then I must carry the good news as a responsibility. It's not just for me, it's for others. Now, do we feel the eagerness? Because obligation without eagerness can feel very heavy. But when we remember the power of the gospel, eagerness grows in us. Sharing Christ becomes a joy, not just a duty. And do we see the commonality? The gospel is available to all people, to neighbors, co-workers, families, strangers, friends, and even enemies. No one is beyond the gospel's reach, and no one is outside the gospel's need. In light of these verses, the most important question is this: am I motivated both by obligation and with eagerness to share the gospel with others? Romans 1 verses 14 and 15 reminds us that grace received from Christ becomes grace given through Christ. Changed lives is sent to change lives. Paul's obligation fueled his eagerness, and ours should too. May we be people who feel the weight and the joy of carrying the good news of Jesus to everyone. I'll see you next time.